Radio Lomax, l'émission du 106.
Hello, vous les appellerez comme bon vous semble. On peut les appeler comme moi guerriers ou alors GURRIERS, comme vous voulez. Moi j'aime bien guerrier. Tant l'intensité de leur post-punk véhément fait bugger les baromètres de la musique à guitare actuelle. Après une flopée de singles et formats courts livrés en 3 ans, les voici en tournée pour proposer Come and See, un premier album qui fait l'unanimité chez la critique. La Grande-Bretagne n'en finit pas de nous surprendre en ce moment. Bienvenue, welcome.
L'émission.
Would you introduce yourselves, gentlemen?
I'm Dan, I'm the singer.
My name is Pierce, I'm the drummer.
Okay. How is Dublin now?
How's Dublin?
Yeah.
Well, we've been away for too long, we don't
been
know.
away for about a month, it's kind of nice. Dublin's good,
Yeah.
good and bad. I think it's difficult to be... I was going to say it's difficult to be a young person in Dublin, but it's difficult for a lot of people in Dublin.
Okay.
It's a lot of things don't function properly. It's a very, very expensive city. It's
Quite dangerous these days.
yeah,
Oh, really?
lots of homelessness. Not a lot of free spaces for people to kind of hang out without having to spend money and stuff. It's difficult. But it's the best thing about Dublin and Ireland in general is the people, and I think that that's so many Irish people emigrate, but I think why a lot of people either stay or they go away and come back is because of the way Irish people are. So
Irish culture then is really important, I think, for me.
yeah,
Especially just going to a pub with a couple of mates and listen to trad music sometimes
nice.
feels nice. Especially think about it a lot when I've been away. I don't know why.
we've been to a couple of Irish pubs.
I've only been to one.
You've only been to one?
Yeah, I mean, you've been to a couple.
I've been to 3 or 4. Yeah. Sometimes I just need a bit of, a refresher.
Yeah. That's why when the lads asked you were you homesick and you said no, and I was like, I wonder why.
Yeah.
He's always in the Irish pub.
But yeah, Dublin's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
My impression is that through the years, there was never such a thing as a Dublin sound per se.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but rather like a merry bunch of misfits doing their own thing, each with a very, very strong personality.
Yeah.
Am I right?
100%. There was like, in the last 10 years, maybe 10 and a bit, it's kind of obvious, the amount of bands that have come out of Dublin that all take inspiration from each other, specifically in the space of like, alternative guitar music.
Mm-hmm.
You can see how the bands are similar to each other, but everything's got, everyone's got their own kind of individual thing. And that's always kind of been the way that there's been a lot of kind of personality in the Dublin music scene rather than one kind of like cohesive, genre that kind of links everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, I think when I was first in the music scene years ago with an old band, it was a lot more techno and kind of like dance kind of scene and stuff like that. But then a lot of the same thing of Dublin just kind of being quite bad for infrastructure for any kind of like industry in the city. They got rid of a lot of the nightclubs, a lot of the opportunities for people to go out and just go to a cool rave or something is kind of very limited in Dublin in general. And I think that's why there's kind of like a rise of like rock music and like a lot more cathartic, angry kind of music that reflects to this how the city is at the moment. And I think anger is an energy, as Pill say. So I think it actually really does resonate sometimes,
What pushed you to record your first LP now, at that precise moment in your career? What makes a band ready to take the plunge?
That's a good question. I think it was like at one stage it didn't really even cross our minds, and then another moment it was like an absolute necessity.
Yeah.
It was like
It's kind of like the light bulb moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think I've said this a couple of times as well. It's like you can make singles after singles and have them on Spotify, and they just get lost in the digital ether. So in a selfish kind of way, we wanted to have a physical copy and have it in our hands.
Something that's a bit more tangible, not even just like the physical aspect of
Can't sell QR codes.
No, but also like the idea that like when you say you're releasing an album, I think people tend to take a wee bit more notice, and it kind of validates your idea or the idea of you as, you know, a new band. It's like, oh, they're doing a record. They're not doing a digital only EP like everyone else. You know, it's kind of a bit against the grain. And just like Dan was saying, I think like it wasn't really until the album was probably 70 or 80% written that we were like, oh yeah, we should
probably
do
an
an album, shouldn't we? Yeah. And then it's like, oh yeah, that's like the most obvious thing ever to just go and do it then. And I think like the timing of it really has suited us. Like it's
a very old-fashioned kind of way of doing things, I think, because I've seen like a lot of artists who don't even make albums anymore. I've heard of artists, I can't remember, there might probably a little bit more pop music and stuff.
Like Pink Pantheress was talking about like, she didn't understand albums or like the, you know, the necessity of albums, and kind of what you were saying about like throwing out a single and it gets lost online. Obviously, you know, it's
a different kind of game with her because she's probably like, you know, really, she blew up from her online.
Yeah,
and I don't really know about the music.
No, the music's cool, man. Yeah. And like her fans consume music in a totally different way to what ours would. Not to generalize, you know, it's obviously very fluid and stuff. But I think for us an album made sense. For others it might not. But
yeah, we're not telling anyone to go write an album. Just enjoy doing what you do, and if it works, it works.
Yeah.
Okay. Come and See. That's the title of a 1985 movie by L.M. Klimov. Yeah. You know that.
Yeah.
Okay, you've seen it.
You haven't seen it because I think you're terrified to watch it.
Oh yes, it's terrifying.
Yeah. I had a conversation with a friend of mine recently about it, and you know, Gibby that lived in Berlin.
Yeah.
So I met him, bumped into him one day, and I hadn't seen him since the record came out. And it was the day before the album came out, and I'd just gone to collect
the vinyl.
We did like a secret gig the day of the album release, and I had to go. We didn't have any copies of the vinyl, so I had to go collect them off like a record shop in Dublin. So I was like walking up the street carrying a box of records. Anyway, he started talking to me about the film and stuff, and I was like, oh man, I haven't seen it. Like, and he was like, you named your first album after you haven't even seen it, and I was like, yeah.
I think the context is not really. I think the movie had like a kind of effect on me in a way that was like a really dark period in obviously in World War II, and the movie's a very dark movie, and it's very like there's no kind of silver lining, and I just really liked the name, and I thought there is this kind of I guess like reflection in times at the moment as well. Not saying we're in World War or anything, but like things do kind of seem quite bleak.
Yeah.
At the moment, and maybe something that reflects off of a movie that tried to, you know, shout out about, you know, the genocide of the people in, where was it again? Belarus, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's a very heavy film. But I think the idea at first was to write a song that kind of had an inkling about that movie, and then it never did, and I just love the name Come and See, and it's also a nice invitation to come and see Gurriers.
Yeah, sure.
It also has this like kind of like a lot of albums that come out in the 60s, you know, like introductory stuff, like
presenting.
Here's the Beatles, or introducing the you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, sure.
So that was kind of the thing that stuck in my head, because like we like debated the title of the album for ages, like
too long.
Yeah. Same with everything, like you reaching a unanimous decision is impossible.
Then you go back and you're like, oh, we actually made a decision 3 months ago.
Yeah. But I think it kind of harks back to that kind of, you know, old school, you know, album title kind of thing.
Yeah. I think it is very old school what we do, and I think that's just like an influence of the stuff that we listen to growing up, and I think maybe just really obsessing over everything that bands do. You just kind of want to do what they did, and I'm still kind of trying to figure out how to release music in the modern age.
Yeah.
Okay.
To be honest,
It's funny because like people have been,
sounds so old.
The idea of like commercially releasing music isn't new, but it's constantly changing and constantly evolving, and there's still no like set formula for it. There's different strategies and different ways you can go about it, but nothing is kind of like, if you do this will happen. It's all very the whole nature of the
Thank God vinyl boomed back.
Man. Yeah, God bless whatever hipsters started that kind of thing,
Jack White,
10-15 years ago. And God bless Urban Outfitters for making it relevant to Tumblr users.
Yeah,
give us a sponsorship. Actually, no, don't.
What you said about singles, it's just the same thing. Yes.
And it disappears, man.
Sure.
Do you know?
Yeah.
I think there's also like maybe this is a bit of a tangent, but the idea of like everything we consume in terms of media, like films, movie, TV, all that sort of stuff is streamed now.
Yeah.
So like the idea of like actual ownership over something that you really like means a bit more to people. That had kind of disappeared for 15-20 years, like, and I think well, maybe not even that long, but that's why I think vinyl has had such a resurgence. And then also the idea of like, it hasn't really taken off the way people expected, but the likes of like NFTs and that kind of thing, where you actually are meant to own something, but like that was some kind of like cop out. You own it, but it doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah, it's the most modern thing I've ever heard in my
It's
life.
total nonsense. But there is scope for that kind of stuff to kind of link in with like streaming and stuff, like blockchain stuff. I think but that's
No,
That's not just a drummer, is he?
it's a bit pie in the sky. Yeah.
Dan, your lyrics navigate between the intimate intimacy and the collective, which I find quite clever, because if you want to address something without sounding too bluntly political all the time, that's what you do. Yeah. So I found the balance quite well done in writing. What's your take on writing that sort of stuff?
I think it's for a long time I've been thinking about this, and I think it's just things that terrify me and scare me and upset me and anger me as well, I guess. And I don't want to be trying to be a mouthpiece for anyone or anything like that in political kind of context, but just what I'm experiencing or what I'm seeing, not experiencing, what I'm seeing, and I'd like to just talk about it. I think for me, it was like you'd have these conversations with your friends in the pubs all the time, and nothing would actually come from them. You just go home drunk afterwards and don't feel like anything.
That idea of like a conversation among mates and you solve all the world's problems.
Yeah, why not try and write a song and hopefully make an album and sing it to a couple of people on tour, if people are interested in it and think it moves them. I think you're doing better than just shy talking to your mates in a pub,
Playing darts and
yeah.
Okay. I just picked one piece of lyrics. Where is it? Sorry. I had just... Okay, I love this one. And it's from Top of the Bill, if I'm right. The love is not dead. It just sleeps in other rooms.
Yeah.
Wow. It has a taste like fairy tale. Nerdy.
Yeah, that's a very personal song, and it was during a pretty difficult time during COVID, where myself and my partner lived in a very small room, and it was hard to navigate just your own space at times, so it was kind of hard. But I was also really intrigued with Marina Abramovich, the artist, and it was the context of her walking from the one side of the Great Wall of China to her husband. When they met in the middle, they broke up, which is very pretentious art, but I liked it. And I just thought it'd be something the love is not dead, but they just sleep in other rooms, they still love each other kind of thing, they're just in different places. And I ended up moving out of my girlfriend, she's still my girlfriend's house, because we need to find somewhere together again, but someone had to leave because the place is very small, Okay, wow. And that was just that lyric, very personal. I love you, Tori, just in case you do watch this. because that is a very personal one. Yeah, so yeah,
Wow, thank you.
yeah, it's a very personal lyric. I haven't really,
It's a great lyric.
I haven't talked about that before. So yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thanks for
Thanks for
everything.
It was like therapy there, man.
Okay, 50 quid.
I was only reading about that Great Wall of China stuff recently, man. That's crazy.
The artist?
No, I knew about her, but the whole thing with her and the
Oh no, I mean like the actual art piece that she did.
yeah, man.
Yeah, it's-
I was only reading, but I reckon like I think it was probably on tour,
No way.
just like deep in some like Wikipedia hole,
She's incredible.
sitting in the van, you know, trying to.
Yeah, she's really, really influential.
And then he showed up with some other thing she did.
Yeah, she was doing an art piece a couple of years ago where she just sat in a room until and people would just stare at her, and until people kind of turned up, and then he turned up and she kind of broke out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
Ulo or Ulm or something his name
Yeah.
is. I can't remember his name. Ben would be a big fan as well.
yeah, man, it's cool. Yeah, that's mad. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, universe speaking for itself again.
Okay. That's a nice way to end this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
very
Thank you very
much.
much.
Thanks, Anton.
Thank you to NT on stage.